The compact hatchback segment in the US really seems like it's coming in full force. When Honda reintroduced the Civic Hatchback in 2017, it added even more fuel to the fire. Now in my eyes, the 11th gen Civic sedan has already proved itself to live up to its expectations as a Civic. But what about the hatch? The Civic has actually always been available as a hatchback since its first release in 1973 as the Civic CVCC. It was an instant hit because of its cheap price, practicality, and gas mileage compared to the gargantuan gas guzzlers of the early 1970s. Every generation of Civic in the US has actually been available as a hatchback up until the 7th generation SI in 2005. Other countries got an 8th gen and a 9th gen Civic hatchback, but in 2017, Honda re-released the Civic hatchback for the US as a 5-door only model. And ever since then, I could really say it's turned into being one of the best-selling hatchbacks in the US. This Civic in particular is a 2022 Civic Sport hatchback in Boost Blue. Now, I love the color. If you guys are regulars to my channel, you know that I have a Voodoo Blue Toyota Tacoma. So this color, I like it. Honestly, the Sport doesn't really add much more compared to the LX. This one is stickered right under $26,000, and it is well equipped, but for the price, maybe I'd expect a little bit more. The only things that you get over the LX are a leather-wrapped steering wheel, paddle shifters, black mirror caps, and these blacked out 18-inch alloy wheels, which you can also find on the SI. Now that is one complaint I have. A Civic Sport sedan and a Civic SI look practically identical, and that's mainly because of the wheels. So I wish there was a little bit more distinction between a Sport and SI in that regard. Now in the 11th generation of Civic, you do have two engine options for the normal plebeian models. So you could either get a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder or a 2-liter 4-cylinder that's naturally aspirated and either a 6-speed manual or CVT. So under the hood of the Civic Sport, you get the 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Where is the hood strut? There it is. The hood is light, luckily, and it goes up with a prop rod, but the 2-liter makes 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque. So it's not the most powerful car in the world. It's not even anywhere near that, but it is the base engine. The 1.5 liter turbo makes up to 180 horsepower. If you want even more power than that, you could get the 1.5 liter turbo in the Civic Si, but the Si makes 200 horsepower. Gas mileage with the 2-liter is one of its strong suits. You should expect about 32 miles per gallon combined and up to 37 on the highway. And of course, these are front-wheel drive with an open front diff. Now in terms of looks, I actually like the 11th gen Civic. When they first came out, they did have to grow on me a little bit. This hatchback looks really good in Boost Blue, I do have to say. But they all have the same front end. The only difference is the grille. They gave it the SI's honeycomb style grille. All of them have full LED headlights. They look very sharp and the output is pretty good. The looks are deceiving. This one doesn't have fog lights, but they put plastic things that look like fog lights in the lower grille. And honestly, around back, this is also one of my favorite parts of this. I mean, this is why you get the hatchback. Now, it looks more like a Sportback than anything, and it looks less of a hatchback than the outgoing or the previous gen. I really have to say, I like this light bar back here that goes all the way across. That's something that the Civic hatchback has always had. I do like that they got rid of the Prius looking 2 windows. It looks a little bit cleaner and a little bit better, but this rear end looks a lot better than the Civic sedan to me. The brake lights are LED, but the turn signals and reverse lights are incandescent. Now, popping the trunk, wait, you have a rear wiper. Thank you, Honda, for adding a rear wiper. But behind the trunk, well, under the trunk, opening the trunk space is very good. It's pretty much class competitive because none of these have exceptionally huge trunks because the roof line slopes so much so you can't really stuff things in here like a wagon or an SUV like a CR-V. But for what it is, it's pretty good, and you have this sliding tonneau cover over here, which you could choose which side it can clip onto, just like the last gen. You also have lights back here. The rear seat is a 60-40 split, and then underneath this floor, you have a donut with some tools and a jack and a funnel. So no storage, but I'm glad that they offer a spare tire. So the 2022 Civic Hatch in Boost Blue. This is the key fob for the Civic Hatchback. You have lock, unlock, trunk release, remote start and panic button. It's Honda's newer key fob. I'm glad that it has a smart key on this, I'd say entry-level model. But with the smart key, to unlock the doors, you just grab the handle, and to lock the doors, you just push this little indentation over here. In terms of interior quality, it's a cheaper car, so this is hard touch plastic, but you have a fabric material for the armrest with faux stitching. The driver and passenger side windows are automatic. The rears are just normal power up and down. Interesting brushed aluminum door handle. But on the dash is at least soft touch. Everything looks good, at least. Nothing looks necessarily cheap. But the seats, these are the same seats as the normal Civic Sport sedan. You have this interesting texture over here. They're not power, they're fully manual with height control. That is nice. But you have faux stitching here with faux leather on the sides as well. But they are supportive. They're reasonably comfortable for this price point of car. Now inside, let's start it up. Typical brand new Honda thing. I like the sweep of the gauges. Since we're looking at the gauges, I'm glad the beep stopped. It's a half digital, half analog gauge. So the speedometer is analog, but everything on the left is digital. And you control it with the thumb wheel over here. So you hit the home button and you could go through different menus. So there's a bunch of different things you can customize. You can also customize it, but I don't want to get into that too much. But it is nice and easy to read. I do appreciate that. And that's in this lower end model. The headlights are automatic, but not the windshield wipers. You do have a rear windshield wiper, muy bueno. But nice leather wrapped steering wheel on the Sport with paddle shifters, the horn. That's not a bad horn. But all the audio controls are on this side, and all the cruise control and some of the Honda sensing buttons are on the other side. Now this is the main button down here. I'll zoom in to control the Honda sensing. But to me, this interior just screams simplicity while also looking nice. Like I said, the dash is soft touch. This is the main highlight of the 2020, well, the 11th gen Civic interior. This full vent over here. So the vents really just go for here and then up to here. And then, you know, that last one over there. But I really like how it just sweeps across the whole dash. It gives it a more upscale premium look to it. This has the smaller of the two infotainment screens, and you only have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Bluetooth. Of course, the AM/FM radio. It kind of looks like an Etch-a-Sketch, but I do appreciate that you have a physical volume and tuning knob over here. But it's very basic. There's nothing really to it. I would mainly use Apple CarPlay. But for a base model system, this is actually still pretty decent, and it's reasonably responsive as well. Down here you have single zone climate control. I do like how everything looks. It is automatic and everything is nice, easy to read. Down here you have one USB port, which is where you'd plug in for Apple CarPlay, a power outlet. Down here in higher trim levels, this would be where your wireless charger would be, but this is just where you could put your phone. Like I said, these Civics have a CVT with a backup camera. Well, you know, CVT, and they have a backup camera. So with 3 views, you have a normal view, wide view, and top-down view. So I'll just stick it back there. 2 big cup holders. All Civics now have different drive modes, so you could select Sport, which stiffens up the steering and gives you a little bit better throttle response. Normal and Econ, which just slows everything down. But I'll talk about that when we drive it. Now you have an electronic parking brake and brake hold. I do like this fake carbon fiber, well not, but this carbon fiber material here. It's a lot better than all of this piano black plastic because it gets all dusty and grungy. The center console, the armrest is not too bad. You have more of that stitching over here. It looks pretty nice. The center console is reasonably sized, and you have this little tray that pops out. The glove box is also reasonably sized, and it is damped as well. But this is a Sport, so there is no sunroof. Now the rear seat of the Civic, the experience is pretty much just like how it would be in the sedan. I'll shut the door here. Interior quality, same hard touch plastic here. Tweeters, which is nice. This has the base stereo system. I think it's only 150 watts. It sounds okay, but you know, it is worth it in the higher trims to get the nicer audio. You have cup holders on the door cards, no map pockets and air vents. Also no USB ports, but in terms of legroom, I'm 5'9" and this is where I would fit in the car. Well, this is how I sit when I'm driving. Legroom is very nice. I could fit my feet under the seat, and then turning the camera around. Headroom is also okay. If I sit all the way back, my head touches the seat. These seats don't recline, but they do fold. I'm comfortable. I think 2 adults would fit back here. 3 would be a bit of a pinch. You don't have a center armrest either in the back. Okay, so getting in the new Civic Hatchback with the 2-liter. I like that little song, but I did drive this for a few minutes, you know, to get to this filming spot, but I like to do my, you know, first impressions for this. I was actually pretty surprised. I took it around a corner and I was like, ooh. So I'm interested to see how this makes me feel. So far, I wanted to say that this is the Sport. The suspension is a little bit too firm. On jarring roads and speed bumps, I'm sure if you got any other trim level that's not a Sport, it would ride a little bit softer, but I'm not going to complain too much, but I'm gonna put myself in Sport as I pull onto this main road here and see how it does. I think this has VTEC because it made like made a growl, but it's okay. I mean, this is not gonna make anyone laugh, really. It's not remarkable. It's the 2-liter base Civic. I would say for this car, handling is its strong suit. I am interested to see how this engine is with the 6-speed manual. So daily driving, the throttle response makes it feel a little bit more zippy than it is. It's really when you wind it out. This does have auto start stop. There is a button to turn it off by the shifter. If I nudge the steering wheel, it starts it back up. So it's not too bad. It starts up relatively quickly as well. But in terms of this being a daily driver, I hate when people brake before they use the turn signal. Let's do a dig or a roll. I mean, it's not slow. It's definitely not slow, but it's not something that's going to inspire you to drive quickly. Road noise, there is road noise. That seems like it's just always been a Honda thing. I don't know if it's the tires on this or what, but I'm not that impressed with how loud it is in here at 60. I'll go into sport mode, and when I click it in sport mode, the revs go up. But let me try the paddles and then the handling. It makes me smile when I'm turning. That's a good thing, because it corners flat, and turning is very impressive. Okay, it turns so slow. Since I'm practically at a stop here, let's do... I do have to say, one of these would make for a really good daily if you want, like, let's see, I'm gonna take this corner in sport here. Wow, it turns in nice, and then drone. I mean, it's not slow. I did, quicker, but I was going downhill. It downshifts when I'm on the brake. So it tries to be as sporty as it can be. I'm glad it doesn't pipe audio into the interior, because that would be a little bit too poser-ish. But clearly, you've not seen it make me laugh, so it's not that fast of a car. It's not really quick at all. But that is not, I have to keep saying that, that's not the intention of this car. It's intended to be, sadly, an appliance that just drives from point A to B, but is comfortable, practical, reliable, and a pleasure to drive. So, the Civic Sport Hatchback from Honda. For the price, I think I'd at least want heated seats and a sunroof. I think they could have done that. But for the overall package, I think it's pretty nice. You get a reliable, economical, and reasonably priced hatchback. I am interested to see what the Type R looks like, because the Type R will be based on the Civic Hatchback, so we shall see that in the coming months, hopefully from Honda. But on that note, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you have a car that I can review, let me know. I have my email in the description, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye, peeps.